from my voice, but I have never seen anything like it.
You believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Andrew Zimmel, host as always. This topic, more serious, the death of George Floyd and athletes speaking out on social issues. On the other podcast, we talked about how the owners and players have yet to come to an agreement in Major League Baseball and the bad faith arguments being made on behalf of the owners. So that one's already up. That one's out for you guys as well. This one, though, I had to bring this up because it's happening in Minnesota, state that I care very deeply about. Death of George Floyd. So what happens is, I want to say it was Tuesday, large crowds gathering yesterday after the death of George Floyd, a black man who repeatedly told a white police officer kneeling on his neck that he couldn't breathe. If you haven't seen this video, it's heart-wrenching. All these videos are very tough to watch. Eric Garner, whose death is being compared to Floyd's, it's one of those things where you see this video and you ask yourself why. And you ask yourself how. Why is this continuing to happen, and how do we continue to allow it to happen? Okay, those are the two things that go through my mind anytime I see any type of video like this. But I want to take less. I want to take less of it off of the thoughts that I have and focus more on what athletes around the country and athletes are saying in general, and how this new wave of social activism that we have seen starting all the way back to Muhammad Ali and Bill Russell and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the civil rights movement, and how that has spread and moved into the 2020s and what we can expect going forward. So before we start all of this, though, I want to play this incredible video by Emmanuel Acho, who former Texas Longhorn, former NFL player, but the masterful way that he kind of conveys the situation that I think that we all are kind of in right now, the situation that I think that he sets the scene, I think, so well. So I'm going to play that clip. I put it on his YouTube page. You can go, or put it on his Twitter page and say, you should go check that out. Go follow him on Twitter. But I wanted to play that sound clip for you guys right here.
I feel sick. I feel guilty, and I feel confused. I'm sick because we've once again witnessed the murder of a black man at the hands of a police officer. Again. We're tired. We have no more tears to cry. We have no more characters to tweet. I feel confused because I don't know if there's anything we can do. We're still going to fight, and when we're still going to express our pain and our anguish in hopes that someone listens. But my black brothers and sisters, we're confused. And I personally feel guilty because a part of me realizes, and I'm a sports analyst, these people don't want to see me tweeting about anything racial. Anytime I put out a tweet, they're just going to roll their eyes and keep scrolling. But my life would be wasted if all I ever did was debate Jordan and LeBron and who's better. If all I ever did was break down a cover 2 defense and what that means. Because all of that stuff means nothing. It actually means nothing when people are unnecessarily dying. My white brothers and sisters, we need y'all's help. Ben Franklin said it best. Justice cannot be served until those who were unaffected are as outraged as those who were affected. We, my black brothers and sisters, have been outraged, but it's not enough. The energy was there, my sports fans, when Myles Garrett seemingly swung his helmet at Mason Rudolph and nearly killed a man. The tweets were there and the energy was there. But where is that same energy when a police officer actually did kill a man in George Floyd? Where is that same energy? Because we, my black brothers and sisters, we don't have any more tears to cry. and we're tired. So we desperately need y'all's help.
So in that clip, you heard Acho talk about Mason Rudolph. You heard him talk about how the tweets were all there when Mason Rudolph, Cleveland Browns defensive end, swung his helmet on Mason Rudolph, a white NFL quarterback. We all lived through it. We all were there. And I like that he kind of talks about how the fake outrage can sometimes be more loud than the actual outrage. And it's difficult. And I've learned this lesson time and time again, over and over again. You have to continue to remind yourself that what you see on the internet, what you see on Facebook, what you see on Twitter is just what you're seeing. It's not the complete picture. So in defense, I guess, to play devil's advocate, I hate to do that, but to play devil's advocate for Twitter, the tweets are there because there's a lot of people talking about it all at once. I think that people are talking about George Floyd's death. I think that there are people evident in the protests that are happening, which we're going to get to in a second in Minnesota. Evident in that there are people who genuinely care and genuinely want to do something and change the system. But it's tough sometimes because you'll see people on Facebook complaining about something. You'll see people on Twitter complaining about something. And you think this is the idea that everybody has right now, that this is the common thought of a majority of the population, which is in fact not the case. There's a large amount of people who aren't on Twitter. There's a large amount of people who aren't on Facebook. So it's not the opinion of everybody. It's just the opinion of the people that you are seeing. So I like to preface that. You also look at other athletes. LeBron James put on his Instagram the video, referenced Colin Kaepernick kneeling, referenced that do people now see Colin Kaepernick, who, if you don't know the story, you've been living under a rock the last 8 years. Kaepernick kneels in 2016 in a protest, silent protest, a nonviolent protest towards police brutality, something that took George Floyd's life on Monday. He kneeled peacefully. He then was called a son of a bitch by the president, and then he also was blackballed from the league. There's a lot of facts, a lot of paperwork behind that, but it's allegedly blackballed from the league, knocked out of the NFL. So it's one of those things. It's very difficult for me to come on here and talk to you guys about it. Not difficult because it's the wrong thing to do, the wrong thing to talk about. It's difficult because it's hard for me to portray a side of this that doesn't make me come off as some white knight, that doesn't make me come off as disingenuous, because I truly believe everything I'm saying. And the sports and activism part of this, though, is the thing that is most fascinating to me, the thing that I think I care most deeply about. Because the activism needs to be there. From a public, there always needs to be an active public in the way that governments run, the way that this country is run, the way that your town is run. You need to be able to have your voice outspoken. You need to be able to make an impact in the community that you live in. And the community that we live in today, currently, is not a good one for African Americans. It's not. Black people in this country are locked up at a disproportionate rate to white people. The wealth inequality gap leans more heavily towards poor Hispanic and African Americans than it does poor whites. Okay, like it's there. The facts are there for you to look at. Jaylen Brown tweets that if he was there, as this video is shot from somebody, a bystander during Floyd's death, he says that if I was there, I probably would have been arrested. Because you see this cop just put his kneel on this man's throat for a long time. And just like Eric Gardner, it's going to be a while before we see any sort of repercussions for this, which I think is the worst part. That it took, I want to say 5 years, I read, for Eric Gardner's assaultant to be fired from the police force. 5 years. And it's going to take just as long, I think, for George Floyd's. And what's rough now is that in the middle of this coronavirus, there's no other stories happening. There's nothing else. So this death will be politicized on the left. This is going to be politicized on the right. But at the end of the day, it's death of an innocent man, a man who didn't need to die, a man who had years and years potentially to live, and it was cut short by, again, police officers not doing their job to protect and serve. So that's going to do it for this one. Keep up with the story. We're probably going to bring it up again on other podcasts. We're probably going to talk about it more as the story develops, but I wanted to put that out there for you guys. I want you guys to be able to listen to and to think about it and to, think about what's happening and read about what's happening and watch what's happening with this death. Don't think about this as a left and right thing. Think about this as a man died because another man didn't do his job. I'll talk to you tomorrow. We're going to end this podcast. I'm going to put it on a lighter note. We're talking about Twitch. So that's the channel that I'm thinking about starting. I'm thinking about doing a little bit more videos, do like an hour video, maybe once a week, maybe twice a week. Do a video, have you guys interact, because you can have like a chat going. We can talk about the sports that are happening. We can talk about the sports that aren't happening. We can talk about the pop culture. We can talk about the videos. We can talk about all these things that are occurring. But I want to get you guys more involved. I want you to be more involved with it. This podcast is growing. I can tell you that all the time. We took a little bit of time off, but I brought those 3 podcasts back yesterday, and they had good numbers. So decent numbers, not great, but decent numbers. So hopefully you guys can continue to share the wealth, send it everywhere you can. This podcast is literally everywhere. It's on every streaming platform now, so you can listen to it wherever you want, however you want. Just please continue to listen. All right, that's going to do it for the show. I will talk to you guys tomorrow.